Hey everybody, it's Lala. I am here to talk to you guys real quick about this week's episode of Preachers of LA. Sorry, I'm trying to hurry up and get this out. I know I'm a day late. My bad. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot going on right now too. But I didn't want to miss another week of talking to you guys about the episode, about the show. So I will say from last week, I don't remember the title of last week, but I did note that whole Bishop Gibson thing with him helping his family. I still feel some type of way about that. When he helped his sister last season with her drug problem, and he went out and kind of plucked her out of a crack house, you know, and got her into rehab and everything, trying to help her out and get her out of that lifestyle. You know, he mentioned like a few times that she'd been on drugs for like years, like many years. And I don't know if maybe he's done this before, but I just thought it was pretty interesting that he decided to wait until now when he's on a TV show to go out and help her get off of drugs. Well, I feel the same way about last week's episode when he went to her. She looks great. His sister looks good. She's you know, sober. She looks healthy. She looks happy. But he goes to her and he's just like, you know, what can I do for you now? And she's worried about her daughter. Her daughter, you know, is now an adult with 3 children of her own, and their living situation is, you know, less than great, and she's worried about the situation, you know, where they're staying, and it's not really safe. It's not a great environment. So Bishop Gibson and First Lady Levette decide to give the daughter, their niece, a house, one of their houses that they're not using right now. That's great. It's beautiful. They gave, you know, the niece, and this is my baby. Say hi. This is my baby Mousy with his little toothless self. Okay. All right. Yeah, they gave him a house, you know, to live in, and that's all great and everything, that they now have their own place. It was her and her 3 sons. But I still wonder, like, why now? Why now and not, you know, before? This has been happening for years. You know, the niece talked about how her life was pretty much terrible because her mother was on drugs, and you know, growing up just was, you know, just not a great thing for her. And you know how she really appreciates having her own space and everything now, but she doesn't really know if she wants to deal with her mother at this point, because the experience, you know, have been so bad that she wants to just kind of focus on her life and getting in the right headspace. Mr. Gatorade. And I just really feel like, why now, Bishop Gibson? Don't do that. Stop that. Sorry about that. Why now? You know, why didn't you go and do this years ago? It was obviously needed years ago. It's still needed now, but it was needed before. And you could have done this before instead of waiting until you have cameras following you everywhere. Okay? Then last week we also had Pastor Wayne Chaney. His mother and his brother had a situation, an altercation, if you will, where, you know, there was like the brother kind of went off on the mom, talking about how, you know, she treats everybody else better than she treats him, and he must have been, you know, drunk or on drugs or something like that. And they got into like a pushing match, and he kicked the door in or something, and the police had to be called. And then there was, are you okay, honey?
Yep.
And then there was a restraining order. The mom got a restraining order out on the brother. You know, so Wayne was, you know, clearly alarmed about the situation. He had a birthday coming up, and Myesha was planning a party for him. The mother was invited, but they decided not to invite the brother, obviously, because they just wanted a nice, you know, party without a whole bunch of drama and stuff. But the brother came anyway. He invited himself. And he showed up and talked to Wayne, and of course everything that the mother said, the brother is saying was the complete opposite, and it wasn't true. And the mother went off on him, and you know, Caleb, the brother, wound up calling the police on the mother. And you know, it was just really crazy. We don't know whose story is the truth or whatever, but the brother seemed a little, I don't know, he seemed a little out of it or under the influence when he was talking to Wayne, unless that's just the way he is. I don't know, but it didn't sound right. So that was about it. I don't really remember what was happening with Dietrich and Dominique. I think they were talking about the nanny, how they wanted a nanny, and they saw a... Did I talk about that already? I can't remember. But at some point, you know, they were talking about a nanny. Dietrich wants one because he grew up with one, and Dominique didn't want one. Okay, now fast forward, moving on with this to this week. Dietrich and Wayne are at a karate class, and they're just pretty much, you know, kicking it, playing around or whatever. And they're talking about their different situations. Dietrich is talking about wanting a nanny, and Dominique is not here for it. And Wayne is telling Dietrich about the situation with his mom and how, you know, he's worried and it's not that great, and he feels like he needs to do something about it. And then we kind of fast forward. I'm going to talk about couples, not, you know, boom, 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 scene by scene. I'm going to talk about each couple and what they're going through this week. So, Dietrich and Dominique, okay? When Dietrich went to Dominique about getting a nanny, they decided, this was discussed during a little marriage counseling session. Dominique didn't want a nanny. She didn't grow up that way. She felt that Dietrich and Dominique were both enough as parents to handle their two children. They want to have that relationship with their children without having somebody else kind of come in and take on that responsibility. And that maybe if Dietrich did a little more on his own, then they wouldn't need the help of a nanny, okay? Dietrich felt like he did enough, and if he did any more, he would be the woman. He's got very old-fashioned, you know, ideals on how a household is supposed to be run. The father is supposed to be the provider and the protector, and the mother is supposed to be the nurturer and, you know, the one that takes care of the cooking and the cleaning and the children and everything else. Dominique grew up a different way. She didn't have a father in the household, you know. She, I guess, basically had a single mom, and her mom did everything on her own. So, with the counselor's help, they decided to make a compromise. Dietrich would do more on his part to help out, change a couple diapers, just be there more. And Dominique would consider getting a nanny, maybe for like a couple of hours every other day or something like that, just to come in and help out, but not to completely take over and be like a major part of the household. So Dominique agreed that she would interview some nannies with Dietrich. And she was already not here for the nanny thing. She's just like, I promised that I would interview, and that's about it. But she wasn't really actually planning on going along and hiring one of the nannies. That was an interesting situation. They had a few nannies come in, and they were all like, I don't think so. They had a little kind of goofy white girl, and, you know, she was cute for what it was, and she looked like she meant well and everything, but she seemed a little clueless. They had like the stern, you know, uptight, I think she was like British. I think she had an accent, and, you know, she's, you know, like, your children, and I don't cook, and blah blah blah. She was, you know, a little scary, a little militant, in my opinion. They had the guy who was like a head wrap designer or something, and he was funny, he was interesting. And then they had this woman, Courtney, gorgeous girl, super duper short dress on, you know, made up and everything, hair, she was gorgeous, showing too much body. And the entire time she was there, she's addressing Dietrich only, completely ignoring Dominique, and basically like throwing herself at Dietrich while she talks about how she would be a good nanny for the family. I mean, I was surprised that she didn't just jump across the room and hop up on Dietrich's lap or whatever. And it was really, really disrespectful. And you know, they couldn't have taken it seriously. Like, I don't even know if that was just like a real situation or not, or if they just did that to add a little fun to the episode. But I don't even know how Dominique sat there and handled a woman addressing her husband like that, because, you know, if it was me, it would have wound up being some old Love and Hip Hop Atlanta type of situation. Like, you're not gonna sit up in my house and disrespect me while you throw yourself at my husband in front of my face. Like, she just completely blocked Dominique out of the situation. It was crazy. And Dietrich looked like he was enjoying the show, okay? He did everything that he was supposed to do. He behaved himself, but those eyes, he was engaged, okay? But yeah, so Dominique's like, no, I'm not going on with any of them. No, thank you. And like she said before, if Dietrich did more, they could handle the two kids. So that's it for them. If I missed anything, just let me know down in the comments or whatever. Now we'll move on to Wayne and Myesha, the Chaneys, and the mom situation. Wayne, okay, so Wayne went to visit his mom, and you know she's letting him know that now time has gone by. The restraining order has been lifted from the brother Caleb, and he's coming around the house and stuff. It's a very, very tense and awkward situation. Wayne is worried about his mom's safety. So he comes up with the bright idea. Mousy, quiet down a little bit, please. He comes up with the bright idea to move her out of the house. He wants her out of the house and away from the situation because he worries. He doesn't think that she's in a good place right now. So he's thinking about moving her in to their house, to Wayne and Myesha's house. Mom is like, talk to Myesha. Make sure it's okay with Myesha. I do not want to come in to the situation and cause any problems because she's not aware of what's going on. He decides to kind of hint on it with Myesha, but not exactly just present the whole situation to her. So he's like, yeah, it's not really a good situation. They're out working out or something together. And he kind of brings it up. I was, thinking maybe she should, move out and stay with somebody for a while. And Myesha's like, well, who do you have in mind? And he's like, well, maybe she could come stay with us. Myesha's like, well, what about Aunt so-and-so? Or, what about this person? They got room. And, basically she's like, I got a whole lot going on. And this would just, be more on my plate to have to worry about another person in the house. And then she just kind of cuts to it. Like every queen needs needs their own castle. And I got to say, I get where she's coming from. Okay. I've been in that situation. Things went crazy for me in life, at one point, Mousy. Things went crazy for me at one point, and I had to move me and my boys into my parents' house, okay? And it's like, I'm a grown woman, and my stepmom is there with my dad, and I was trying to contribute to the household because I'm staying there, and that's kind of how you give back. You don't just come in and sit around and try to expect everybody to wait on you hand and foot. So I was cooking and doing some cleaning and stuff like that, and there was clearly tension at a certain point. We had to kind of establish the fact that it seemed like I was kind of taking on the role of the woman of the house, and I didn't mean to. That wasn't what I was trying to do, but it was clearly an issue because I was doing Mousy. Excuse me, I am so sorry. The house is full today. The baby's home sick, even though he doesn't sound sick, and I had to get this done today. So excuse me for the distractions and the interruptions. Anyway, and I meant well. I wasn't trying to, overstep any boundaries or anything like that, but it got kind of funky for a second until we just kind of sat down and talked about it. So I get the queen needing their own castle, and even here in our place, me and my boys, this is my place, and I wouldn't want somebody coming in here and trying to take over my position, so I got it. Wayne decided to just kind of leave it alone, and then he decided to move his mom into the pool house without talking to Myesha about it. Not a good situation. Mom kept on asking him, did you talk to Myesha? Did you talk to Myesha? This is while he is moving her stuff into the pool house. Myesha shows up during the move like, hey, what's going on here? And Wayne's like, yeah, hey, babe, listen, Mom's coming over to stay. And, that was totally crazy. And he put her on the spot. The mom is there. And he's like, is that cool? Of course she's going to say, yeah. But the fact that he did that, it just blew my mind. You cannot do something like that. I understand that it's your mother and you're worried about her safety and everything. And I'm sure that Myesha would have agreed to move her in anyway. But you got to say something. Just like Dietrich and Jay and the whole pregnancy situation with him marrying Dietrich and Dominique. Say something to me. I'm probably going to do it anyway. But you know, it's respect and common courtesy to clue me in on what's going on before you go and do this, you know. And I just felt like, I feel like Myesha is she's very submissive, you know, and she plays her position, and she's, you know, she's not very outspoken, and I don't think she really like stands up for herself as much as she should, and it feels like Wayne takes advantage of that. So basically, she had an issue with what he did, as she should, and she went to talk to the grandma. I don't really understand why. I guess she just needed to talk to somebody, but you know, they kind of, you know, brought it up to Wayne, and he basically decided this was the time to tell her just how severe the situation was, to tell Myesha just how bad it was, and that, you know, he really, really was afraid for his mother's safety, and he needed to get her out of the house. He didn't want to wind up standing over her casket wondering if he could have done more, you know. And Myesha understood, you know, and she's like, of course, like, I didn't know it was this bad. I still think that he, you know, took advantage of the situation, and then I feel like he tried to guilt her into being okay with it, when all of that could have been avoided by him just talking about it. You know, communication is key, and all you got to do is say something to me and it'll be okay. So he's got some learning to do and some growing to do when it comes to that, but all in all, mom's there, everybody feels better. Myesha is cool with it, you know. They say a little prayer or whatever, and that's fine. Personally, I feel like Myesha needs to hold out a couple of nights for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's okay in the eyes of God, but it ain't okay in my eyes that you pulled this. So anyway, then we move on, last but not least, to the Hazlets. Okay? Christy is thinking about flying her son Newt out to visit. Okay? And she's worried about this because in the past, Newt had some issues, and it got to the point where, you know, Pastor Jay had to kick him out, like had to put him out, like, you can't do this here, you know, you're going to have to go and get your life together somewhere else. So it was a very, very, it was a strange situation, and apparently something was supposed to happen last Christmas where they were supposed to fly him out, and at the last minute, Jay was like, no, like, he's a grown man, and he should be able to buy his own plane ticket to come out here, you know. And he was the only, Jay felt like, I'm all stuttering, Jay felt like he was the only one in the situation that wasn't enabling Newt. So after everything happened, Newt wound up not being able to come down to visit for Christmas. So that kind of made things even more tense and awkward and uncomfortable. But Christy just basically felt like, I'm flying him out no matter what. She talked to Jay about it. She got, you know, kind of choked up because she misses her son. You know, it's her baby and she misses him. And it's just not right to not be able to see your child, you know, for a long period of time. And I mean, especially in a situation that the child was in. I think he had problems with drugs, and he was partying and just kind of going crazy and losing control. So, you know, Jay decided, you know, he finally said, you know, I support you, and, you know, come on and fly him on out. Whatever you need, you know, I miss him too. So they wound up flying Newt out. Christy went to go pick him up. She mentioned how she hadn't seen him in 2 years. I don't know how I would survive not being able to see either one of my boys for 2 years. I mean, 1 year, a month, a week. I couldn't do it. I'm so close to my boys that they better not try to pull something like that when they finally grow up and get on out of this house. Because it's just, I don't see how someone could do that. So I can understand how brokenhearted she was, that it had been that long since she saw him. So, you know, she was a little choked up when she picked him up from the airport. They went home, they were having dinner, and it was a very, very awkward dinner. You know, it was little small talk and stuff like that. Jay was very different. I wasn't used to seeing him so, like, uncomfortable and off, you know what I mean? He clearly felt very strongly about the situation and about the son and everything, and it seemed like when they started talking about it, you know, Newt was like, it was great to be back home, and he was thinking that, you know, it's time for him to move back to California. I think he was in Alabama. I think that's where he was living now, and he wants to move back to California. And Jay's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Where are you in your life? And Newt felt like he was in a better place and he could handle it. And but Jay was pretty much like, we've been down this road before. And when I first heard about the situation, when I was watching the episode and I saw that he had a son, they did mention this when he was dealing with Justin. They had a son who had some drug problems. I was surprised at the fact that Jay was so hesitant to have his son come home. And you saw how he was so gung-ho to help Justin get himself together. This kid that's out on the street wasn't even a part of his congregation, but somebody came to him and said, this kid needs help. And he's just like, let's do it. But then you have his son, his child. It was Christy's son, but still his child in a similar situation. And he's like, I don't really know if this is a good idea. I started to question Jay, like, wait a minute now. You were perfectly fine with doing this for a complete stranger, but you have a problem with your son. But then I started to think, you know what? Nobody can hurt you like family can. Okay? And just like Jay said, we've been down this road before. You give somebody a chance and another chance and another chance, and they keep on letting you down, and they keep on falling back. Bless you, baby. Keep on falling back into the same, negative ways. I understand how, when they say I've changed, you are like, I don't know, have you really? You know what I mean? Like, fool me once. Yeah, well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, whatever, shame on me. Like, I get it. So they did talk about it over dinner. When Jay started to kind of bring up the past and what had happened then and how bad things were, Christy was like, hold on, like, I don't want to go down this road. Let's not do this. And they started to talk about, the fact that Newt, he wondered if he at a point questioned if Jay even loved him, and whether Jay knew that Newt loved him. And they got a chance to kind of talk about it and air some things out. And the situation, it calmed down, and they wound up like opening up, and it got better. And Christy was very, very happy about it. Jay does, bless you, baby doll. You gotta give you some medicine. Jay does miss his son, and he decided, all in all, that maybe that he clearly was in a better place. They did get together a little later on. I'm all over the place right now, but Jay realized that Newt had changed. He was in a better place in his life. He probably wasn't completely okay, but he was really, really close to it. And he decided that it would be a good idea if Newt did come back home. When it comes to situations like that, where someone's had drug issues, issues with drugs and addiction, it's a very, very hard place to come out of. It's a very hard thing to battle drug addiction. And when you're talking about somebody going back to the place that they were in when they wound up getting addicted to drugs, it's okay to be hesitant, because you're going back into that environment, and you can be strong, for a little bit of time, but the question is, how long can you be strong, and how long can you fight it? You got the same people and the same situations calling you back to that lifestyle. So I understand why Jay was just like, is this good for you? Would this be the best thing for you? You are doing well in Alabama, but will you be able to sustain that when you come back to California? So, all in all, the episode kind of ended with everybody on a good, in a good place. And they did agree that he should come back home. And it was a nice situation. So it was nice to see Jay, in those two situations with Justin and helping him out as like a stranger, and then like a pastor, and with someone in the world, and then him as a father dealing with his son in a very similar situation. We didn't see Bishop Gibson and Lady Livette. We didn't see Bishop Noel and Loretta, and we never see the McClendons. I still don't understand why the man is still in the opening credits. I still don't understand why he's a part of the show. He's never around. Nobody wants him around. Please just leave and open that spot up for somebody who wants to be a team player and wants to be a part of the show. Like, go away. No one likes you anyway. But it was good to have a little break from Bishop Noel Jones and Bishop Gibson. I'm sorry, but I can't deal with them every single week with that stuff, the drama and everything. So yeah, that was the show. This is my review. Sorry if it went on a little long and I was tripping all over everything, but you know what? Like I said, life has been really, really crazy in a good way. Good things are happening for me. I'm in a better headspace. I love you guys. I'm going to keep on talking to you, keep on making these videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if you agree or disagree on anything that I had to say. Thank you for watching, and that's it. Okay, bye-bye. Come here, Mousy. Say bye-bye. Come on, come on, come on. Come, quick, quick, quick. Say bye. Oh, he's got to grab
Bye.
stuffies. Okay, bye.
Bye.